Hi, this is Brother Teacher. What determines a person's worth? In fact, what determines your worth? Do you really know what determines a man or woman's worth? I'm sure that you can relate to this. I know people personally who don't seem to understand what real worth as it relates to self is comprised of. I wanted to say true story, but there are many stories that I could tell. But let me just sort of generalize. I see people that I know who have material things. They live in a house that maybe they built from the ground up. And if not, they live in a nice neighborhood with a $100,000, $200,000 home. And they have a tendency to make the world aware that they have this nice home or this nice automobile or SUV, as it were. And they place so much stock in it that they have to wash it pretty regular, the car that is, just so it looks good. Who is it looking good for? Is it just to say that I'm washing it because I don't want it to be dirty? No, they actually have a time frame. Every week, once a week, sometimes twice a week, they wash it and then they'll polish it. Not just one individual that I know, more than one. And there's some people that I know that have more than one automobile. They go through the same regimen, washing their cars, and they like to talk about it, what year it is, uh, the engine that's in it, type of engine, and how much the tires cost, and so forth. And I know people who have a nice paying job. They make six figures, at least well up into the dollars annually. And they talk about that from time to time. And when they get their income tax back, they talk about how much money they got back and so forth. And not even asking them about it, they just have a tendency to just bring it up. So they take stock in what they have material wise. I know people who can go on vacation a couple times a year, even going overseas on vacation. And they boast about it. And then these same people, many of them, rings on every finger, necklaces, gold and silver, diamonds even. Oh, how do you like that new watch I have? I got it at such and such a place. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Or they're wearing clothes to go to the grocery store that are expensive clothes, but they're just going to the grocery store, but they want to be seen. Seen by whom? And then there are guys, especially guys, who drive through the neighborhood where my business is, and they're playing music loud, and they have these really nice cars. And the music is so loud you can hear the window vibrating from the bass speakers in their vehicle. And they want you to look, they want you to pay attention. The same thing is true with some of the people that ride the motorcycles. I mean, they're just extremely loud. Vroom, 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 vroom. This kind of stuff. And they're playing music on some of these luxury types of bikes. And they want the heads to turn so that you can pay attention to them. And I see guys that dress really well, they come around me and they have the latest clothing on and then they smelling really good. There's nothing wrong with that. Let me say that. But this is an ongoing thing. And just by virtue of their conversation, they're always talking about what they have. And don't step on their shoes. And I mean that literally. Don't step on their shoes. Case in point, many years ago, I was in church and there was an individual always prided himself in his clothing, his suits, how well he dressed, and so forth. Now, my first impression of him, I loved him, of course, I still do love him. First impression of him was that he was a bit vain as it relates to his dress, his wardrobe. He was always doing this to his tie and always adjusting this and so on and so forth. And that was a bit much. I wore suits too, but I didn't go through those extremes. But one day, we had an event in the church. We standing in the foyer. It was pretty congested, and I'm being careful walking through the crowd of people, and I accidentally, and I do mean this, accidentally stepped on his shoes, one of his shoes, and he looked at me with this look, and the man that appeared to be intelligent and comforting and spiritual all went out the window just by the look. And I apologized. I said, "Oh, excuse me." And this look that he gave me, some things you can discern really easy. And the look that he gave me, that if these people were not here, I would probably hurt you, maybe even kill you, because I accidentally stepped on his shoes. He was so caught up in his wardrobe and how he looked and how he appeared in front of people that it went to his head. That didn't just happen that day. That's who he has been all or most of his life. Now, I just wanted to throw that out there to give you an example of how much we can attach ourselves to material things. And I gave the example of people washing their cars on a regular basis just so they can impress other people, onlookers, as they drive by or when they come by their homes and so forth. Excuse me. I'm not moved by any of that. I'm not. As the old saying goes, we're all going to die one day and we cannot take anything with us. So, all of these people, whoever they are, even people that you may know, and I hope that this is not you, and if it is you, let me finish. The thing that should determine your wealth should never be anything that's outside of you. It shouldn't be cars, shouldn't be the amount of money that you have or possess in a bank account or otherwise. It should not be your home, your clothing. It should not be how much invested you are in the stock market. It shouldn't be how popular you are or even your celebrity. That should not determine your worth. Your worth should not be determined by anything outside of you. It should be determined by what's within you. Okay. What's within you? Now, I gave you the example of the guy whose shoe I stepped on and the look that he gave me. He was angry. His worth was determined by his material things. And I only mentioned his clothing, but it was also his home and the car he drove. Why? We always seem to want to be validated by someone other than ourselves. We always want to hear praise from someone else. I love validation when people come to me and say, well, I enjoyed your show. I enjoyed your video. Or I enjoyed your performance, your demonstration in martial arts at that one center the other week, and so on and so forth. I enjoyed the conversation that we had. We all love attention, but we have to be able to separate what's more important as it relates to worth. All of the accolades are good. All of the praise is good. And to amass some material things on this planet, in this world, it's okay. It doesn't apply to everyone because the poor man doesn't have those things. Sometimes the mediocre individual doesn't have very much. The working poor doesn't have very much. We should be thankful and grateful for whatever we have in terms of this world's goods. But at the same time, we should realize that these things are temporary. When we die, they die. They go away. They're possessed by the next generation or someone else. So what do you have left? You have just you left if those things are taken away. If you're living, it's just you. Let's say you have all of the money that you could possibly use in your life for the next 100 years. You're pretty well to do, you're wealthy. Even if you are not on a Jay-Z, Beyonce level, or Tyler Perry level, or Jeff Bezos level, or a Warren Buffett level, let's say you're not even there, but you just make six figures. One thing I know for sure, for certain, if you, the well-to-do individual, or even the rich or wealthy individual, were to be taken away from all of your material things, cell phones included. There are some people who are caught up in cell phones, iPhones, the latest gadgets, the latest PlayStations and Xboxes and things like that, the internet and so forth. How many people you know on social media, or how many likes you get, how many followers and subscribers. People's wealth is determined by that in their mind anyway. Oh, I've got 500,000 followers on YouTube. I have 20,000 followers on Instagram. So what? That determines your wealth? No, it doesn't. As I said, you determine your wealth. Take all of these vices and devices away. Take all of your materialism away. There's nothing left but you. Just you. Now, what do you have now? Are you getting what I'm saying to you? If you take all of the things that you have amassed in terms of wealth away, all of the things outside of you that you perceive as being something that's valuable, that determines who you are, your status, you've missed the lesson. You don't get the picture. You see, my friend, when you came out of your mother's womb, it was just you. Just you alone. And when you die, it's going to be just you alone. No matter how many people show up at the funeral. It could be masses. You wouldn't know it because you're dead. All of the material that you have amassed, you don't know what's left. You don't know who's have control, who has control over it now. Your cars, no good to you anymore. Your home or homes, no good to you now. So, you really better think while you're here today, you really better think about what's really important. It is the content of your character. What is your character made of? What about how you feel about you without all of that embellishment, all of those extra things out the door? What do you think and feel about you? What type of man or woman are you really without the extra stuff? Bring it home, brother teacher. Here I am. I don't need anything to define me. I don't. I don't need anyone to define me. I don't. I don't care how much money I ever have in my entire life, how nice a home I may live in, how fancy or how modern the car, automobile, SUV I might drive, how much money I have in my pocket, in my bank account, in my portfolio, how many followers I have on any internet, social media platform. None of those things ever will define Reginald, brother teacher. I define me, and I am who I am and what I am because this is who I choose to be without any influence of anything or anyone. I am an individual and I am independent and independent of any outside influence to make me something that I'm not or to make me believe that I'm something that I'm not. This is a hard life to live when you are an individual, but it's the best life to live because this life, without all of the bells and whistles, this life of being independent and being an individual is the only real life you will ever experience. So, what determines your worth? Nothing outside of you. It is what's within you. This is Brother Teacher. Like, share, and subscribe. Give me your comments in the comment section below and tell me, are you a materialistic individual and defined by those things? Or do you define yourself? It's that simple. I'm out. So long.